Hey YouTube, it's me Sharice here, and I'm here with a very serious video today. And this is kind of a video about my testimony and some things that I've realized in my walk as a Christian since the summer. In the summer, I would think I was doing weekly or bi-weekly devotionals and things, so it was really easy to stay focused on, you know, living a good Christian life, really obeying God, really loving God wholeheartedly with all of my heart, all of my mind, all of my body, all of my soul, and everything that I am. Because I had time to really sit down and focus. There were no distractions. I didn't have any schoolwork. I didn't have a job. So I could really devote time to really giving God my all. And recently, this past Sunday at church, we studied Jabez, I think is his name. His name means pain or sorrowful or the one who brings sorrow. And out of First Chronicles, I think I should have written it down. I didn't write it down, but a man named Jabez, I believe, out of First Chronicles, and a prayer that he prayed in First Chronicles something or Second Chronicles verses 8 and 9 of some chapter. I can't remember. Anyways, it just really got me thinking about like my life and my walk as a Christian since I've been back in college and how it's kind of plummeted drastically. So, I want to start with this statement. Peace to the Christian is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of God. And I realized that I've been feeling troubled, having issues with depression because I haven't been allowing God to be present in my life. I haven't been seeking His presence in my life. And so I've been experiencing more troubles. And I haven't been able to have peace because I don't have God's presence as much as I really should and need it. So that statement is from this book I got from Gold Hill Road Church of Christ in Fort Mill. That's the back. Fort Mill, South Carolina. I like that church. I visit there sometimes. Gold Hill Road Church of Christ. And this is our I Grow daily devotional book, and it has a devotional for every single day of the year. So I've been really bad about keeping up with this, but I plan to restart this book in January and actually go through it every single day. So that's from lesson 318, which I believe is yesterday's lesson. So I'm going to read that again. Peace to the Christian is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of God. Next, I'm going to jump to 1 John chapter 5, verses 14 through 15. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, I'm looking at my phone. I made an outline. I don't know if y'all can see, but I have an outline of verses and like why I want to talk about these verses on my phone. And I have my Bible right here. So let's go to 1 John. So 1 John chapter 5, verses 14 through 15 says, "We have courage in God's presence because we are sure that He hears us if we ask Him for anything that is according to His will. He hears us whenever we ask Him, and since we know this is true, we know also that He gives us what we ask from Him." So that sounds great, right? If I ask God for something, if I pray to God, I know that He hears me and I know that He's going to give me what I ask for, right? Yes, if it's according to His will. So recently I've been thinking about some things that I've asked God for and, reflecting on, have I received these things or why am I not getting these things? So this verse really hit home with me, and this was preached on Sunday in that lesson about Jabez, I believe is his name. And so I realized one thing that I really prayed for to God was to get better piano skills so that I could pass my piano proficiency and, move forward in my degree and get into the College of Ed and stuff. And I realized that He has blessed me with that. He has answered that prayer. He didn't answer it at the time that I wanted it, which was this past spring. I failed Piano 4, and now I have to retake it this semester. But my piano skills over the summer have improved drastically, and God has answered that prayer. And I guess He was just trying to tell me that I really needed to take Piano 4 again and really learn it, because it's really going to help me as a future music educator, and I shouldn't just be doing it just to get by. And so He has answered that prayer. But was it in my time? No. It was according to his will and his timing, and I'm really happy that has finally happened. But then I thought about some of the things I prayed for that I haven't received or probably will never receive. And that's probably because, well, it is because it's not in accordance with God's will for me. And so I've really had to come to terms with realizing that the things I want may not be what's best for me, and really trusting that God knows what's really best for me. And maybe some of the reasons that things haven't been going the way that I wanted is because God knows that's not what I need in my life, or those people are not what I need in life, or, these things are not what I need in life. So just really trusting that everything's happening for a reason and God has something better in store. And another thing about not getting what you want is that when you don't have God's presence in your life the way you need to, it really messes with the way you think. And you may think that you need certain things that you don't think. So that leads you to feeling more disappointed because you're thinking that your will is in accordance with God's will, but you're really thinking it in more of a selfish way because you're not allowing God's presence to influence your thinking. I hope that made sense. So we know that our sins separate us from God. So that might be another reason why you may not be getting what you want, because you're not living a lifestyle that's in accordance with God's will, and you're not allowing God to have a presence in your life on a daily basis. And I realize that for me, I really have to make a conscious effort to make God present in my life, to put him in the forefront. And it's really hard. Like, I really have to think about it every day, every hour, because of how distracted I've allowed myself to get, how far away I've let myself stray. So the next verse I'm going to go to is Galatians chapter 5, verses 19 and 21. Galatians 5, 19 and 21. Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. So Galatians 5, 19 through 21. And the Bible reads, "What human nature does is quite plain. It shows itself in immoral, filthy, and indecent actions, in the worship of idols and witchcraft. People become enemies and they fight. They become jealous, angry, and ambitious. They separate into parties and groups. They are envious, get drunk, have orgies, and do other things like these. I warn you now, as I have before, those who do these things will not possess the kingdom of God." And the reason I wanted to point this verse out is because some of these things, I'm not proud to admit, have been a part of my life throughout my whole life, but recently since I've been back in college. And by doing these things, I am intentionally separating myself from God and preventing myself from being able to inherit his kingdom. And that's not good, because the whole point of being a Christian is so that we can get to heaven. That's the end goal of being a Christian, is to get to heaven. But I can't if I'm partaking in these sorts of activities. And so that's also another thing that diminishes God's presence in my life, if I'm partaking in these sorts of activities in these verses. So I can't do these things. So I have to make a conscious effort every day to do what it says in 1 John chapter 5, verse 18. If I can find it. My Bible's kind of falling apart, so it's kind of difficult to use. But I don't want to get a new one because I have everything highlighted in here. So anyways, 1 John chapter 5, verse 18, which says, "We know that no children of God keep on sinning, for the Son of God keeps them safe, and the evil one cannot harm them." So the first part, we know that no children of God keep on sinning. So as a child of God, as a Christian, I can't keep on sinning. I can't keep on partaking in some of those things that are mentioned in Galatians 5, verses 19 and through 21. Can't be doing those things, because that is completely contradicting God's will for my life and what I should be doing as a child of God. So that leads me to 1 John chapter 3, verse 6, which says, "So everyone who lives in union with Christ does not continue to sin, but whoever continues to sin has never seen him or known him." And this kind of makes me think back to, I think, in Matthew, where Jesus is speaking on, or Paul, somebody speaking on in the Bible in Matthew about being a lukewarm Christian, how God would rather you be hot or cold or than to be lukewarm. And I feel like lately, as a college student and a Christian, I've been very lukewarm, and God hates lukewarmness more than he does being hot or cold. And that's why this verse also sticks out to me, because what verse is it again? 1 John 3, 6. It says, "So everyone who lives in union with Christ does not continue to sin, but whoever continues to sin has never seen him or known him." So basically, by being lukewarm, by continuing to sin, consciously sinning, like I know that these are things I shouldn't be doing, but I still do them, it's like I don't know God at all, which is not good. It's really bad. And so that's why I'm saying every day I have to make a conscious effort, every hour, make a conscious effort, really think about everything I do and everything I say and how that affects my relationship with God. So, yes, got to do that. And then another big reason why, this is just really important. I feel like these verses are really important and really relevant in my life right now, is because in John chapter 14, there are several verses that state that if we love God, we will obey him. And by consciously sinning and choosing not to do what's right, I'm saying that I don't love God. My actions are saying that I don't love God, and I don't like that. And that needs to change. And I'm sure there's some people who can relate to what I'm saying, but sometimes you just get so caught up in life that you let you get so caught up in the worldly life that you let your spiritual life kind of disappear or get put on the back burner. And that's something that I'm consciously trying to change since yesterday, really, really thinking about it, like thinking about, if I were to die today, where would I go? And I feel like people really need to be honest with themselves and be real with themselves when it comes to this stuff, if you're serious about it, because God was serious enough about it to die on the cross for me. So I'm trying to make some changes, So we are in John chapter 14, and I'm going to start in verse 15. And it says, "If you love me, you will obey my commandments." Point blank, period, straightforward. If you love God, you can obey his commandments. So what's the opposite of that? If you don't love God, you will not obey his commandments. If you're not obeying God's commandments, you are not showing God love. Point blank, period. So next verse is John 14:21, which says, "Those who accept my commandments and obey them are the ones who love me. My Father will love those who love me. I too will love them and reveal myself to them." So if you love God, you will obey his commandments. And how do we show God that we love him? Through our actions and through our words, by actively obeying his commandments. You have to do something. You can't just say it. You actually have to do it. And so that's something I'm really working on. Because I know all these things. I know the right things. I know what I should be doing. But I was, until yesterday, still choosing to do what was wrong, which is showing that I do not love God, which is the complete opposite of what I should be doing as a Christian. And the second part of that is, my Father will love those who love me, and I too will love them and reveal myself to them. So because I haven't been loving God, because the things I've been saying and doing are not showing love to God, he's not able to reveal himself to me, to help me be a better Christian, to help me stay on track in my life, because I've decided to put my spiritual life on the back burner and focus more on school and boys and relationships and other things, when this should be the number one thing that I'm focusing on. So I've burdened and hindered myself by following my own fleshly, selfish, and human desires. I've basically put a barrier in between me and God, which is not good, because we need him, So that's why that verse really is important to me. The next verse is John 14:23, a couple verses down. And it says, "Jesus answered him, Those who love me will obey my teaching. My Father will love them, and my Father and I will my Father and I will come to them and live with them. So by not obeying God's teaching, I'm not showing that I love him, and because of that, he can't live with me. He's not present in my life, and I'm not able to have that peace from that little statement I read earlier because he's not present in my life, because I've chosen to put a barrier up between him because I'm choosing to sin and not do what's right. So I think I'm almost done. I know this is getting kind of long. And I think the last verse I'm going to read is John 15:10. Which says, "If you obey my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have obeyed my Father's commands and remain in his love." So in order to remain in God's love, to remain um, on God's good list, or like, he had the naughty and the nice list for Santa Claus. To remain on God's nice list, you have to obey his commands. Like, that is crucial. You can't just say it. You have to be a doer. It's a verb. Love is a verb. And to show that I love God, my actions have to show that. My thoughts have to reflect that. The things I say also need to show that I love God. And that's why I'm coming back to, this is a conscious effort that you have to make every single day. Just like I make the effort to go to class every day without even thinking about it. I go to class every day. I put on my makeup every day. I get dressed every day. And making God present in my life every day should be just as easy, just as natural, and just as important as everything else I just listed off. And when I realized that it wasn't, I was like, whoa, some things really, 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 really need to change in my life, in my walk. So that is what I've kind of been experiencing as of late. That is my testimony. And that may be a reason why you may feel kind of, I guess, upset with God, or feel like you're not getting the things that you want out of life, or that your life is not as awesome as you may want it to be, or you're not feeling as fulfilled in life. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Like, these things, because you're living for your own will and not through God's will, you're going to cause yourself to get hurt more. You're going to be more disappointed. You're going to be more irritable. You're going to feel more rejection from God, I guess you could say. But really, it's not him. It's us. It's all about us and what we're doing. And it's a two-way thing. Well, actually, it's really a one-way thing, because God is always going to love us no matter what we do. But it's going to be harder for his love to really impact and influence our lives and our actions if he's not present, because we're choosing to push him away by consciously sinning. I hope that makes sense. So I don't want to ramble on too much longer, because like I said, this video is really long. And there's going to be kind of a part 2 to this. I have some other verses I want to read. So this is going to be part 1 of, I don't know what I'm going to call this video yet, but this is part 1, and part 2 will be recorded probably later today in the same outfit. So I hope this helps somebody out there, and that maybe it turns a light bulb on for some people who have been in the same position as me with their spirituality, and kind of put it on the back burner. And I just want to let you know that you're not alone, and I'm here with you to help put God back in the forefront, to make him present every day. So yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening if you made it to the end of this video, and I'm about to record part 2, so be on the lookout. Bye, YouTube.